Have you ever wondered who Charles Spurgeon is? And how did he get the title Prince of Preachers? Well, I'm going to show you who he is, how he got the name, and the impact he left with his legacy. So, first, who is Charles Spurgeon? He was born to John and Eliza Spurgeon on June 19, 1834 in Essex, England. His family was familiar with the ministry due to his grandfather being a preacher and his father being a half-time preacher. His first book he read was Pilgrim's Progress, which indicated that he might have some intelligence beyond his years. At the age of 9, he began reading advanced books, like theological books. By the age of 15, he devised a mathematical calculation for a London insurance company. By the age of 15, Charles Spurgeon became a Christian through salvation. And it was at 16 he was baptized. When he was 17, he became a pastor. That was his first time becoming a pastor. And at age 19, he became the official pastor at Park Street Chapel and remained there until his death. That was like 40 years of preaching that he did. And he married in his 20s to his sweetheart, Susanna. So how did he earn the title Prince of Preachers? Well, he started a pastoral college in 1855, where he helped train future pastors. He helped planted 200 Baptist churches, and by the time he got pretty old, he already had saw 900 pastors that he trained. He wrote a 7-volume commentary just on Psalms, and many other commentaries follow after that. He even published a monthly magazine called The Sword in a Trowel, and he spoke at revivals. Through all this accomplishment that he made, he earned the title Prince of Preachers, because he was not only authoritative in the knowledge of theology, he actually made sure that everything he did was established so it could be continued on. And that's where we'll come to our last point, is how did he impact the Baptist or Christian world with his legacy? Today, most of his quotes are still used in most preacher sermons. Pastors today still uses his commentaries for reference. His teaching are still being used to train new pastors in college for seminar. And on social media, he has the biggest fan page ever, because of people who love this preacher, because he was literally a people's preacher. He impacted today's world in a sense that it established a lot of the Baptist theology, and it really impacted a lot of pastors who really saw him as a great mentor. So who was Charles Spurgeon? He was a man who fell in love with God and serving him, and he did that by 1, getting saved, 2, enter the ministry, and winning souls for Christ. And how did he do that? By starting churches, colleges, and preaching. And that's how his legacy impacted the Christian world. All right. Have you ever heard of a man named Charles Spurgeon and how he got the title Prince of Preachers? Well, I'm going to basically tell you who he is, how he got the title, and the impact he left. So, first of all, who is Charles Spurgeon? He was born to John and Eliza Spurgeon on June 19, 1834 in Essex, England. He already has been established of the ministry due to his grandfather and father being in the ministry. At the age of 5 years old, he was literally reading Pilgrim's Progress, his first book. And he excelled in intelligence in his early years, and it was really shown because at the age of 9, he was already reading really heavy, advanced theological books. By the time he was 15, he devised a mathematical calculation for the London Insurance Company. By the age of 15, he became a Christian through salvation, and he was baptized at 16. At 17, he became a pastor. It was more like really a training pastor, but it was his first pastoral career. At age 19, he became the official pastor for another church at Park Street Chapel and remained there until his death. So, by the time he got to age 20, he married his beloved Susanna. She was his world. And that comes to our second point. How did he earn the title Prince of Preacher? Well, let's think about it. He sought a pastoral college. He saw over 200 churches being built, and he even wrote a 7-volume commentary just on Psalms, and other commentaries followed afterwards. He published a monthly magazine called The Sword in the Trowel, and he spoke at a lot of revivals. So this has really solidified his title, Prince of Preachers. He was ever in every part and aspect of the ministry. And because of this title that he earned, I should say, it led him to our last point, the impact that he had in the Baptist and Christian world through his legacy. Today, he is the most quoted man in most Baptist pulpits. In fact, I'll show you one of his quotes that is used a lot in telling about if salvation through faith in Jesus Christ isn't real. And this is what his quote was. When I cease to preach salvation by faith in Jesus, put me in a lunatic asylum, for you may be sure that my mind is gone. And this is just like one of the millions of quotes that he has that is used in pulpits. Pastors today still use his commentaries for reference, and his teaching is still used in a lot of Baptist colleges for future pastors. And on social media, he has the biggest fan pages of people who loves him. So how impactful was he? I would say he was pretty impactful, because he not only led so many churches and so many sermons, and not only did he incorporate not just for a certain group of people, but he's known throughout all the Christian world. His impact and his legacy is what we have today, especially in the Baptist world. So who was Charles Spurgeon? He's a man who fell in love with God and was willing to serve him in the ministry. And by doing that, he did it through getting saved, and two, by winning souls for Christ. And how did he do that? By starting churches, colleges, and preaching. And that's how his legacy impacted the Christian world. Alright. How many ever heard of Charles Spurgeon? Okay. Some of you did. How many know how he got the title Prince of Preachers? So nobody? Okay. So, I'm going to tell you who Charles Spurgeon is and how he got the title Prince of Preacher and the impact that he left was his legacy. So, who is Charles Spurgeon? Our first point. He was born June 1834 in Essex, England, to John and Eliza Spurgeon. He had already been introduced into a lot of the ministry due to his grandfather and father being in the ministry. By the age of 5, he's already reading Pilgrim's Progress. So it really showed that how his intelligence was in his earlier years. He, at the age of 9, read advanced books, and I'm talking about advanced theologian books. By the age of 15, he made a mathematical calculation for a London insurance company. At the age of 15, he also became a Christian through salvation. And at the age of 16, he took that final step and became baptized. At the age of 17, he became really more of an assistant pastor, but it was his first stepping stone towards becoming a pastor. And at the age of 19, he became official pastor at the Park Street Chapel, where he was until all the way to his death. So, he eventually found love at the age of 20 to a woman named Susanna. And this is what really boils down who he is and how he gets our second point. How did he get the title Prince of Preachers? Well, he started a pastor college in 1855. He had helped create 200 churches, Baptist churches alone. He basically had a 7-volume commentary just on Psalms, and he had other commentaries follow after that. He also started his own magazine, a monthly magazine called The Sword and the Trowel, and he also preached at revivals. This involvement in the ministry, so much involvement in the ministry, earned him that right of being called the Prince of Preachers. And that comes to our third point, is how did he impact the Baptist world in the Christian world with his legacy? Well, one, pastors today still uses his quotes in their sermons. In fact, here's one quote I'm going to be sharing with you, and it goes like this: "When I cease to preach salvation by faith in Jesus, put me into a lunatic asylum, for you may be sure that my mind is gone." So this quote is mainly using that if I'm not preaching the right truth of God's word and his gospel, Jesus Christ's gospel, then you might as well just put me in a asylum. So it's quite used in a lot of sermons by preachers. And his other impact is his commentaries are still used by pastors today, and his teachings is still used in a lot of the Baptist colleges for future pastors in training. So how impactful was he? He's pretty impactful. I mean, he literally has one of the biggest fan page on social media. You're going to find tons of fan page of fans who love this preacher. So, who is Charles Spurgeon? Well, he was a man who fell in love with God, and he fell in love with the ministry and serving God. And by doing that, he did it where he got saved, into the ministry, start winning the souls for Christ. And how he did it? He did it by starting pastoral colleges and churches and in his preachings. And because of this, he left such an impact in the Christian world.